We've heard about him all off season. We've been excited for it. Is Billy ready for this? Let's go. We're almost there.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making this one of your first stops, one of your first listens every single day. Your team every day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. We got Nick Osen from 247 joining us. Today's episode, we are talking about Billy Edwards. We are talking about depth chart. We are talking about your questions, a ton to get into today. I just start here, Nick. When we have loaded shows, we just get into it. We don't waste any time. Billy Edwards, we've heard about him all off season. I think the excitement for what he could do this year is built. The leadership has built. Is he ready for this?
Ryan, we've been loaded up talking about him as well as this show. So I'm excited to be here with you. Man, I don't have a doubt in my mind. Honestly, we just spoke with him today, Ryan. We got some time with QB1, Billy Edwards Jr. Look, he's built for this, man, and I mean that. You know, it wasn't a perfect season last year, certainly not necessarily for his team, but you watch the tape, he's a darn good quarterback. And I actually just made a comment on the boards a little bit ago. What you needed from the quarterback, whoever it was going to be, right, coming into this year, you obviously want somebody talented, but someone that's done it on tape, that has been around this game, and I think that can just bring in an innate level of leadership to the Badgers and to the offense. I think he checks all those boxes, Ryan. You know, I'm not saying he's going to go out and win the Heisman, and I know that we're going to get into some of the over-under numbers, but I think you've got someone talented, someone you can really trust, and frankly, someone that when he's dropping back or throwing into tight coverage, I'm not thinking or assuming, hey, there's a decent shot that, you know, this could be a turnover-worthy play or maybe a little bit off kilter. I feel very good about where things stand with Billy Edwards.
Griffin Klein says Billy's going to be the best QB since Russ, no doubt. Let's go, Griffin. I'm excited for it, man. I really think that it says a lot about a player when he comes in and in the span of a couple months, he has the command and the leadership of the locker room. Had Patrick Herb on the show. He talked about how Billy's just a man of the people. Like he is just connected. And that, listen, let's be completely honest. And I'm not taking any shots at Tyler Van Dyke, but that wasn't as seamless last year at the quarterback spot from a leadership spot. The coaches talked about it. The coaches said, we need him to step up a little bit. And he did, to his credit, but Billy came in and instantly became the guy, took command of the leadership. I think he's ready. I think he's ready for this moment, and I think he's going to meet the expectations of Badger fans.
Yeah. And something, Ryan, I don't think that is talked about super often. You know, like you said, I think that Van Dyke did his best. Like, I think he was well-liked on that front, but it wasn't natural. And maybe with a guy like Braden Locke, he did do some of those things, but he obviously just, you know, had some of the limitations on field. So I think with Billy Edwards Jr. this year, you know, they sought after and invested in a player that can bring all that together, that can be a legitimate Big Ten starting quarterback. And, you know, I liked somebody's comment that he'll be the best since Russ. I don't really have a doubt that he should be at least top two since then. You think about the maybe 10, 11 guys since, and there have been a couple solid guys. I don't think anybody's saying he's going to be Russell Wilson. I see the comment right now from Adam. But best since that, I think that's very fair.
Yeah, and Adam, I wanted to bring your comment up because I want to be clear. When we say best sense Russ, we mean best sense Russ, right? Like nobody is expecting Russell Wilson, but I did a show on this. And when you really put up the numbers, the only guy that I think if Billy plays to the level he's going to, or to the level I expect him to, I think the only other quarterback we've had since Russell Wilson would be Jack Cohn that you kind of put in that mix. And Cohn was good.
Mm-hmm.
If he is a player type guy, this offense is going to be pretty darn good. Let's do this, man, because we put out a call for some questions on a couple spots, and I don't think we're going to get into all of them. We got a bunch of great questions. We talked about this, Nick. We wanted to make this show really for the listeners of the readers of your community, the listeners of my community, your questions, your thoughts. Let's just talk about it. Let's make it a big community show where we sit around the proverbial campfire and we talk back. So that's what we're going to get into. If you have more comments, questions, thoughts, topics you want to stay at, put it in the chat. We'll try to get to it. We also have a big list. Let's start here. Northwoods always asks good questions, man.
He does. He does.
How many? And I don't know who that is, by the way. So hopefully, I'm going to meet you at some point, man. How many of the true freshmen play non-special team snaps week 1?
So that's a really good one right off the bat. I think so. You've got the guys that are in the 2 deep. I think all those guys play. That's the 2 LBs, corners, Eugene. That's 5. I think Nick Clayton plays at 6. I think that you probably see another defender somewhere in there, or maybe an Emmett Bork type potentially at 7. And you hope that the Badgers are up enough to maybe, play a young lineman, right? Like a Nolan Davenport, Mike Roski, somebody that was kind of flirting with like the maybe low 2s, high 3s throughout camp. And so because of that, geez, it sounds crazy, but I'll put my number at around 8. 8. For this week, we won't get ahead of ourselves for week 2. So this week, I'll say around 8.
Let me ask you this, and I think your number is probably pretty close. I'd probably be just a tick lower.
Okay.
But I listen, I think those 5 in the 2 deep are going to play. I truthfully do, because I do think they're going to build a bit of a lead. And I think those guys are in the 2 deep to play. So I think those will play. I don't know if you'll get a lineman in there. I don't know if a Bork will get in there. But either way, I think our number is 6 to 8 is what we're expecting. I had this question come up the other day. I think it's a great one to pose to you. Is the fact that you're going to have 5 or 6 true freshmen play a good thing because, hey, listen, the recruiting's been excellent? Or is it a worrisome thing because, hey, maybe some of these true freshmen are playing because the depth's not there?
So great question. And I'm curious if it was maybe the same person that put it on my board as well, because we had that. And I said, look, I think if they were your 1 line, right, if they were your first team, and that's not speaking of who these players are, that's nearly any true freshman, unless you're, a top 5 guy even, then I think it would be worrisome. But because they're second or they're fighting for second, Ryan, I think it's really exciting. I've gone on record saying the 2024 class, Fick's first full class when he had time, got a lot of hype, rightfully so. And a lot of those guys are going to be stars or major contributors. That's no secret. But this 25 class was the first one I really fully covered from start to finish. And I've said that I think that really, Ryan, the ceiling of this class can be similar to the best that this school has really ever seen. That is truly what I believe. And so because of that, you look at the players themselves too. Eugene Hilton, okay, had Clemson offer, some really good offers. Miami wanted him for a while. Georgia, like NFL legacy. That kid's got a ton of talent. Cooper Catalano, he's just the all-time leading tackler in this wonderful state's history. I think he's doing something right. Mason Posa, a top 10 to 12 linebacker, depending on where you look in the nation. You look at these corners. Now, they might surprise some people because they maybe weren't rated as high. But I said Cairo Skanes, you watch him week 1, day 1. He's built like a college corner. Jameer Scott, I think, is impressed. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure he's somebody I would have had quite that high. You just go down the list. There are some high 4-star guys throughout as well. So all that to say, if it were starting line, hey, what's kind of going on with the current roster? But guys in the 2 line fighting for the 2s, I think it's exciting because I think the 2024 and 25 class are simply going to be the foundation for what turns this program back.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I would just add very quickly, I think some of these players would have been playing whether you had more depth or not. Eugene Hilton's getting reps most years for Wisconsin. It's not really a depth thing. I just think he's advanced. I would say there's probably one of those corners on a typical year isn't playing. Maybe you have a nice back, or maybe you have one other guy back. Obviously, they lost some corners, but I think it's mostly exciting. Most things in life are a mix of multiple things. It's not all one or the other. But yeah, I'm mostly there with you. I do want to throw this in here quick. Ross says first live chat. Always love people stopping by for the first time. Ross,
we do.
Time with us. And you can't find a better live chat than one where we get with Nick Osen on. So definitely appreciate you here. Let's go to the next one, man. This is a good one here.
Do we want to take his question quick, Ryan? Is his first one?
Oh, I don't know if he had a question. Did he?
I think he did.
Dude, It is hard for me to manage both.
If we lost it, it's set up. What would be the best win or the worst loss?
What would be the best win or worst loss this year?
Mm-hmm. You want to? I'll take win. You take loss.
Sure, do it.
So I think a lot of people will focus on in conference, but man, I think if you went into Tuscaloosa and beat the brakes off the Crimson Tide at home, and this is supposed to be kind of a bounce back year for them too, by their standards, of course, but it's supposed to be a really good year. I think that'd easily be the best one. I mean, that's SEC country. You know how they talk about Bama is loaded. I think there's a question at quarterback with Simpson just because he's inexperienced, but everywhere else, blue chip talent. To me, that's an easy one.
Yeah, I'd say worse. So I'm going to throw out the out of conference, the two early ones, Mid Tennessee and Miami,
Okay.
Ohio, because I mean those would be disastrous losses. But we're not losing those games, I don't think. So I think worst loss is Minnesota. If you go to Minnesota end of the year and you lose again to the program that we had dominated for so long, the program that for so long looked up to us, we were the big brother there. That's the axe. You have to get Minnesota this year. So to me, I would say worst loss this year if you were to drop that one to Minnesota. Badger fans wouldn't be happy. That would be a frustrating loss for me.
That's fair. If I can just add real quick, I think I'd say Maryland. But what does that say, right? What does that say about how hard the schedule is? That those are quality teams, especially Minnesota has been. I get where you're coming from, Ryan, but that just shows, right? You're not going to say, "Oh, Ohio State would be a terrible loss." Oregon at Ann Arbor, you know what I mean? So good first questions from our guy.
Dude, and I love that he's in here for the first chat. We're going to take a quick second here. We got so much more to cover. We're going to bang through a bunch more questions. If you have stuff, put it in the chat. Always a blast to be here with my guy, Nick Osen. First, a quick second for our friends of the show over at Monarch Money. If you're anything like me, sometimes you forget a little bit where some of your money goes. You have some subscriptions that maybe are over here or over there, and you need a tool to bring it all together. You need kind of a personal CFO, and that's what Monarch Money is here for. They're going to bring every account you have under one roof, all in one spot, one dashboard, so you can see it visually. And if you save a little money, then maybe you can spend a little money to go to Camp Randall. Maybe you can spend a little money on a Dylan Jones jersey, whatever it is. Use Monarch Money to help track your finances, partner up. It is a beautiful tool that I use, my family uses. Right now, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Today's episode also brought to you by our incredible friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. Football is almost here. NFL is almost here. FanDuel's making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 or get $300 in bonus bets. They've upped it. $300 in bonus bets if your first bet wins over at FanDuel. It's fast. It's simple. The payouts are quick. I've used it a long time, and I'm smashed that over. I've smashed it over 5.5 on FanDuel. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first live bet. $5 bet gets you $300 in bonus bets if you win. All right, Nick, we got a bunch of ground to cover here. Let's get into this next one. Again, we have this is from Riley Z. Can the Alabama game, we talked about it, can the Bama game be like that LSU 2016 game, or do you think we have to wait till next year for Notre Dame to get that big win?
Yeah, I know that a lot of people love the optimism in me, and I'm never going to lose that, even when people try to knock me. But I always got to be honest. I think that is one I probably see a better shot next year, Ryan. I think this seems good for Wisconsin. As I've said, I've gone on record even in the boards. I think they'll make a bowl. They're a good football team, but that's just a tough place. Obviously, a really good program. I mean, it was the number one name, for 20 years when I was growing up. I think the two biggest things that probably worry me with that matchup, Ryan, are, the playing on the road, but also just their speed, man. Their speed everywhere. You've got a projected top 10 pick in Caden Proctor on the line. So it's like, even if the pass rush is better, which I certainly believe, I think that's a lot to handle. So all that to say, Riley, could it be? Sure, but I think that will be a little bit tougher. I think next year against Notre Dame could be some fun, though.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I will point out, if you do trip up Bama, which, listen, the upsets happen in college football. If you trip up Bama, then you play Maryland, you're probably 4-0 heading into a bye. I'm just saying, you can game that out if you want. I love this question here from Sawyer C. Biggest bounce back season this year.
Yeah, this was a great one, and I just wanna say, Ryan, thank you again. I know we had talked about this for weeks, and clearly I'm seeing people show up. So, man, this is awesome. Got an idea for a game I'll bring back later, but biggest bounce back season.
Rico, Tretch, Peterson, Brandon Lane, or Tackett. And I think I do want to quick before you answer. I don't know if Rico had he didn't have the production, but they didn't target him as much. I don't know if I would have him. I mean, listen, sorry, Steve, love the question. I think it's a great question. I would
Yeah.
almost have him in a separate category. I think for me, it's probably Brandon Lane, considering the high. He had a lot of expectations when he came in. Didn't really play last year.
He did.
I think he's going to be a big part of this run defense this year.
So, it is a really great question, and I think if, I continued further, you could maybe put, like, Tackett in another category too because he was a little bit dinged up, but for the sake of the question, which is a great one, to be a little bit different from you, Ryan, I think I'm going to say I'll say Daryl Peterson, man. I think that a lot of people, from my understanding, and I've only been here for 2 camps, but it sounds like basically I was reporting, how well Peterson's doing, and people would say, "Oh, we've heard about this for years, and when are we going to see it on the field?" Oh God, that comment. Um, when are we going to see it on the field? And I just don't know if that was fair to him because Mike Tressel basically said he was trying to do too much. Daryl Peterson was, and now I think he's very set in his role. He's an edge setter, Ryan. He's a big linebacker. He's not a pass rusher in that sense. He's not like freaky athletic, but he's a good ball player, dude. That the guys I'm telling you absolutely love Daryl Peterson as a teammate, as a leader. I'm going to go with DP. Brandon Lane has looked terrific, though. Reasoning for him earning that likely starting nod.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, man. I think DP is a great one. DP, because I almost think just putting him in closer contact to the line of scrimmage where he doesn't have to think as much. He can just be that athlete that I think he is at 265. I think he's going to surprise some people. I really do. So I think that's a good answer too. Another good question here, man. And again, we got a bunch of good questions. Over under categories. I love this one. So he threw a couple good ones in here. Riger, 7.5 sacks. Dupree, 700 total yards. Herring's 1,000.5 IPA. And then Mason, 5 receptions. Where would you go on all of these?
Oh, yeah, I will rock these. I mean it. These are awesome. We'll get into them. Okay, 7.5 sacks. Ryan, are we including a bowl game?
Let's say regular season for these.
For the sake of this, okay, regular season. I got to stay consistent with my reporting. I'm going to say over for Riger because he was the best player on the team at times. 700 total for Dupree. That includes receiving. That's a good number. That's a good number. I'll say slightly over, but that's a damn good number. I'd say anything between 6 to 850. I like Herrings. I think this is gonna be an 850 IPA for. I'll say take the under. And Mason, damn good number. I think I'm still going to take the under, even with Ashcraft's injury, just because I think there are a lot of guys that are going to catch passes. Though he might be one of the most natural, I'll say slightly under. I like him at around 32, 35. But again, really, whoever came up with is like really, really good. He must have a FanDuel app.
Yeah, dude, these numbers are great. Give me the over on Riger. I just think
Okay.
I think he has a chance to get like 9.5 sacks. I think he's really good.
Wow. Okay.
Slightly under on Dupree. I just think there's a lot of mouths to feed. I love Dupree.
Yeah.
Slightly under like 650.
Yeah.
Mason, I'm going to go slightly over. I think he's going to be the second lead receiver. I think he's going to be at like 41. So just slightly over.
Like 3.5 a game. Okay.
I think they love him. You know that. I know that. But there's that is a lot of catches. But I'm going to take slight over here. Let's get to the next one again. We have so many good questions. So if it feels like I'm speeding through this, it's because I incredibly value Nick's time. And I also want to make sure we get as much of these as we can.
If Beyonce went to sleep, we can have a little fun, man. But
we'll go a little longer than we normally do here, which means we still won't get into it all. But Demetrius, man, after the first 4 weeks of the season, what is more likely? Badgers 4-0 or Badgers 2-2?
Okay. Well, like I said, I got to be real at times. If they lose one of the first 2, that's worrisome, right? So I have to think 2-0. Then you look at Bama, home against Maryland. Maryland's not good. They've got some great 5-star young guys, but I don't think that's going to win them a game. Edwards was there before. I'll be shocked if they don't get 3 wins. So, based on that logic, I'm not picking it, Demetrius, but I'd say 4-0 because I can't see them dropping either of the first two. Do I think they're going to go 4-0? Not likely. But yeah, out of those two options, got to go with it. You?
It's a tough question. Because it really comes down, do you think it's more likely Maryland springs the upset against us or we spring the upset against Bama?
Correct.
I think, sadly for me, it's 2-2. But I actually don't think Maryland's going to come in and beat us. So I understand the point of the question. I think it's an interesting thought exercise. And I don't think it's a slam dunk either way, but I'm going to go Badgers 2-2 just because I think it's going to be really tough to go into Bryant-Denny and win
we
that
both
game.
Agree, though, probably 3-1.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
I think they beat Maryland. I definitely think they take care of business there. If you could add one player, non-offensive line, from last year's team to this year's squad, who would it be? Because I think the easy one is let's add an offensive lineman. Let's add Huber. Or let's add
Yeah, that's really good. Then you think about who else did they – what were you going to say?
So I was going to go with Nazir, which is a bit of a cop-out because obviously that situation is still unfolding.
Yeah.
But if you told me we could have him for sure, maybe it's a Wohler, even though we like Zachman and Alsebroad a lot. Wohler's an NFL guy.
My mind went there, but man, Zachman I think is obviously a good player, and Austin Brown, I'm so intrigued by what he can do. I'll take Nazir. I'll take the cop out on this one, just because. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of the top talent on last year's team is back, or they're offensive linemen in the NFL now, right? Like a Nelson, like a Huber. Shout out Joe Huber, by the way.
Yeah.
Obviously making a team that is freaking awesome. So yeah, that's what I'd probably say.
Scott says Nazir, Wohler, Hunter. Pauling. Cougar says Pauling. That's not a terrible answer either. Captain
not at all. That's not a bad answer at all.
Let's get some more here, man. Again, we got a bunch. From
I liked Will.
Will is a great dude, man.
Yeah.
Is it the Badgers underachieved this year? Which position group do you think might be the reason why? So I'll lead up on this one because I saw this come in and my brain instantly churned a little bit. This is a spot I really like the young talent. However, I think if one spot lets you down this year, it could be the young inexperience at cornerback, where teams spread you 4 wide, 5 wide. We're going to play some teams, man. Bama, Ohio State, Oregon's going to have weapons. And freshmen make freshman mistakes in the secondary. That's not a knock on a freshman.
Yeah, no.
So I
mean, yeah.
First.
I like his funny ones too. It's making me think here. But no, I'll just use it kind of practically. I guess I don't know his definition of, if it's achieving, overachieving, so what would be under. But I will say this. I'll go with kind of how I broke down why I'm more confident this year's team will be better. I really like Hoover's answers, and that's defensive line, Ryan. I think they are going to be better. Run game, I think a little bit better. Pass rush, much better. So I think just, hey, if the eye test in the fall doesn't match what we see games on Thursdays and Saturdays, then that group probably, because there's a reason that they got like 5 or 6 new guys, 7 if you're including some of the pass rushers. So that's what I will say.
Yep. A lot of people in here, a bunch of different comments. We had defensive line, cornerback or tight end. It's interesting. Quarterback from Adam. Offensive line from Mitch Ames. Linebackers from Chris Hartz. Receivers from Cody. Running backs from Chaplin. So it's
so like just about every position.
We named everything except for kicker, surprisingly, which actually is a bit of a question mark coming into the season. Yeah. All right, we got to take one more quick second for friends of the show. We're going to come back, finish up this show. Again, we're not going to get to everything, but we're going to get to quite a bit more if we can. One more quick second for our friends of the show. Coming back with the great Nick Osen. Today's episode also brought to you by, listen, I do housework. Like, I work on the house. Nick and I have talked about it. If you're, you need a new repair, or if you have some crew you need to get going, something for your house, Supply House has you covered. Their massive inventory, over 280,000 items from the most trusted sources, is going to get you going with whatever you need for your home. Real-time inventory, honest lead times, keeps you from punting projects, while the industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Join the free Trade Master program today. Score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com, sign up for free, and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. If you need parts fast for a project, Supplyhouse has next day delivery. Total game changer. All right, Nick, let's come back into this. Always want to give you an opportunity. Where can people find the amazing stuff that you got going on heading into the season?
Ryan, I really appreciate it, man. Obviously, we've added to our team, and we're doing some really different type of game content, previews. And I will say our Friday Night Lights coverage is going to be pretty cool. Badger 247. And folks, I see Ryan has an amazing following. This is my guy right here. So thank you for watching. If you're not on, my site, our site, I'll let you in on a little bit of deal. Game day, it's going to be the best promo of the year. It's just $28 to $30 for an entire year's content. So over 2,000 stories. Promise it'll be worth it. But this guy's the best. We're trying to get like him right here.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate you, man. These collaborations are going to continue happening in one form or another. Let's bang out some more questions, man.
Yeah, I've still got a little time for sure.
Love this one from Coffee. Chances a receiver not named Hilton, Brooks, VA, Tretch, Ballard make a big impact this year. So we're talking Tyrell Henry, maybe Vernon Griffin. Maybe Deco Crowdis. Any of those guys step up and see some type of role for you?
Yeah, I think it's just Coffee, how you really define big. Because I do think Tyrell Henry's going to be used. He was actually kind of a fall camp stud, to be quite honest. Looks really, good with some of the plays that they were getting him. I think that he has a lot of trust and respect from Jordan Reed. So he'd be the guy. But I'm not sure what big impact would mean. Is that 4 or 5 plus 100 yards, or is that like 200 something? That's what I would kind of say. But otherwise, I think Hilton, obviously, Vinny Anthony's a star. And I think this is kind of the time where you see a little bit more from Tretch and more opportunities.
How about this one here? What do you think will be the explosive play of the night come Thursday from Jack?
This isn't the most creative, but it's truly what I think. Now, Miami, Ohio's defensive front, they do tend to stack it a little tight and try to stop that run. But from what I saw, I'm just sticking to what I've seen, Ryan, since March. I think it's going to be a Dylan Jones 57-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, I think so. This is where I have to calm my brain down, because I was like, it's a Ballard bomb and a Dylan, and then Deckel's going to maybe come in the fourth and toast somebody. Give me Ballard. Give me Ballard on a deep 9 route, a deep post, play action, something Grimes cooks up, and Ballard gets loose in the secondary. We know he's at speed. Edwards to Ballard, 62 yards, touchdown, third quarter. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, dude, I love that question there. I like this one from Honcho, actually. Another good one from Honcho. You talk about how deep some of the position groups are. What position group is so deep that losing its best player wouldn't even matter? Or maybe one
right.
position.
Yeah, obviously it matter, but that's a good question from Honcho, man. Can I give 2?
Please.
Honcho's a friend of the show. Can I give 2?
Please.
Man, I'm just going to trust what my eyes have seen. I'm going to say offense, running back, because I believe there are 3 guys that could be starters there. And defense, I will go out there and say inside linebacker, because I think that Coop Catalano could be relied upon right now. I think that Tommy Heiberger is very, very close as well, if not right now. Thank you, Will, down there. And, Posa is showing his flashes, and he's getting there too. So is that to say, oh, you'd love to be without CA or Tackett? Of course not. But if something like that happened, I do trust those positions.
Yeah, I went inside linebacker in my head. To be a little different, I would almost say defensive line. Interior, not Riger.
The fun thing there, Ryan, real quick in your answer is we don't know who that best player really is on the inside, right? Because in the spring it looked like Perk, but these last 3-4 weeks of fall camp, you could tell me Barton, Suggs, or Lane, I'd trust you.
Yeah, that's a good point too. There was a question in here. Speaking of inside linebackers, let me see if I can hit it quick. Obviously from Probst, future at inside linebacker looks bright, but if an injury occurs, is only having Freshmen as those backups a little too much to ask of them? I think it's a good question.
Yeah, great question. If it were the case, Ryan, then that might be too much to ask. But even though he didn't show up on the depth chart, which honestly surprised me a little bit, Garrison Soliday is still in there. And he's one of the most trusted, respected guys, walk-on type of guy, absolute grinder. Tommy Heiberger, obviously he was injured, but been around the program at least for a year and a half, 2 years. I would put the freshman over Turner though. So yeah, I would say if it was only those guys, maybe too much, right? I mean, that is a spot where you see some injuries, but I think you've got a couple more bodies in there still too.
I think it also helps that Cooper was here early. Coop is a really instinctual, advanced guy. Was here in spring. I almost wouldn't look at him like a true freshman, even though obviously he is. I think he'd be fine. I think he would step in like a Chris Borland and be just fine right away. So it's a great question. It doesn't bother me too much. Brett Roll, what position group was Nick most excited to see Thursday night?
Love it, Brett. Running backs, man. I mean, this is an RBU, right? And I'm not sure we saw that the last couple years, which is okay. It happens at times. But I've been touting this position. I will put my name on it. If this group is disappointing, come back at me. But I know that Coach Fickle has put his name on kind of the confidence, and others have as well. I just feel like, okay, we saw a flash from Dupree here and there. Yak did some things with his touches last year. Dylan Jones looks like is built like a star and is playing like it. Let's see it all under the lights. So that's the one for me, Ryan. Let's say if you can't say quarterback. That I'm gonna throw that at you.
I already have my next one teed up. It's not quarterbacks, although I'm obviously excited to see Billy. It's the edge group to me. I can't wait to see Reiger live, against an opponent where he can actually hit the quarterback, right? Because you can't hit him. You can't hit Billy. You can't hit Danny. Reiger's going to be able to unleash some of that Reiger Tiger energy. And then on the other side, Cheeks. Sebastian Cheeks has looked really good. Nicholas Clayton when he might get some reps. Daryl Peterson, Walker. There's a lot of dudes on that edge group in a defense that didn't. Because if you're in basketball, there's nothing better than a great dunk. If you're in football and you're watching your team on defense, a disruptive play gets the crowd going. I think you're going to see that week 1, week 2. That's what I'm excited for.
Reiger is going to unleash, man. I mean, I'm sure you've been seeing some stuff on Instagram. He's just been ready to play.
Dude, I can't wait for him. Game you're most looking forward to this season from Evan?
I'm going to give 2.
Please.
Because I've never been to, Alabama. I don't think I've even been to the state. I'm fortunate to be covering that one. So I will say Alabama. And then, you know what? This might be kind of an obvious classic Big Ten answer, but give me the Iowa game because I'm not sure in these amazing questions we've even seen what is the most important game of the season, Ryan. And to me, I think that's it. Now, there's the whole, push-ups from the spring and the points allowed, defense, all that. But it's also this is a true rival. And I think that they need to make a statement at home this year.
Iowa, Mark Benson is with you on that one. He's Iowa and Minnesota. I think it's a great one. I think anytime you get an opportunity, life is about opportunities, getting great moments and getting Ohio State at home. That could be a night game. If you were to lose to Bama, but were to knock off a Michigan, which I think is possible, that could be incredible. I'm going to be at the Iowa game, so that's an easy answer for me, but you talked about Iowa, so I'm going to say Ohio State on that one. A couple other quick questions here in the Nick. We'll get you out of here. We'll archive some of these too, and maybe we'll answer them.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Here's a good one right here. Who is this year's version of Vinny Anthony? Steady, again from Northwoods. Steady guy, been in the program for years, steps up this year.
Yeah, Northwoods is great.
So we talked DP, Daryl Peterson.
Is like a second-year guy probably too young? Or, yeah, that's probably a little bit young.
And we did talk Daryl Peterson. Could it be maybe you're talking about a guy like Austin Brown? Been in the program a couple years.
Yeah, that's an amazing answer. I've kind of already had him pegged, as that star. Nobody would have projected that necessarily with Vinny. So, and again, you could probably say the same about a guy like Allegro. I'm going to say, even though he's younger, I'm so impressed by talking with him and kind of the feel that he has. I'm going to say either a second-year guy in Brandon Lane or a young guy in Emilio Agard. But I hear you on Austin Brown. If we're going by kind of the exact sentiment of the question, that'd probably be my answer.
KBP with Aaron Witt. I think that's a good one as well. Obviously, a lot of bodies in that room, but he's someone that's finally healthy. Looks a little thinner, more mobile than he has in recent years.
Yeah, I think he is.
I'm kind of excited about that one. Nick, man, we've already gone for 40 minutes. We did get one starred question here. Let me throw this in here. It's more about Nick. First concert you ever went to?
Ooh,
From
that's
Badger
a really good one. And I'm grateful. My stepdad actually surprised me. I was 15. It would have been the night before a JV basketball game. I was a decent player. I do have a good jump shot, but I wasn't the star or anything. And he got me watch the Throne tickets in Chicago, which was the Jay-Z and Kanye West concert tour. So basically for their album, that was my first ever show. So shout out my stepdad for a heck of a show. It also kind of made every show since a little disappointing comparably, but no, it was a pretty cool thing for my man Bill.
Man, that sets the bar high. I'm going to throw this up here because we didn't hit this one. Again, we did not get to everything, which I'll take the blame for. Are the backups in by the fourth quarter, week one?
Yes. Yeah, maybe not everywhere, but I think Danny O'Neal's a guy you probably see. I think Ituka, at least in the first couple weeks, but I think you'd maybe like to get him a couple touches, and then more of the young corners. So I think you're still considering like Skanes and Jameer Scott backups, obviously. I think you need those guys to see some run. I mean, even if Nazir is back at some point, and I do think there are some levels of optimism right now, just kind of from what I'm sensing and following some of this recent news within the courts, I think those guys need to see the field. Frankly, Ryan, they've earned it. Skanes has earned it. Scott's close, and I'm high on Jamari long term. So,
yeah, I'd finish that conversation here. I think they need to be. Like Wisconsin has to be in a position where they can play some of those young guys, but I also think it's important that they are, because those young players are going to need some of those reps. Those young inside linebackers, like you mentioned, Atuka, maybe Hilton. I think those reps are incredibly important as this season grinds on, because this schedule is a grind. You're going to lose some guys. Those reps are invaluable, man. So not only do I think they will, I think they need to be.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Hilton, man, in the first quarter and a half. I don't think that's too crazy to say. I mean, Grimes loves him. It went from, again, like I've said about Coop Catalano, whoa, this guy's flashing, this could be cool, to, hey, he could be one of our best right now at this position. And that is truly how they feel.
Will Hanna says, my first concert was, I'll give you a hint, Bad to the Bone. Dude, I'm so bad with music. I'm sorry. I love
Don't be sorry. So I'm good. I'm actually really good with it. I know I can hear the lyrics like bad. Yeah. Like I can picture it, but I'm not sure I could say that artist.
I can't. I'll just be honest.
Well, I appreciate Will. Can I get one more if it's okay with you?
Dude, yeah, we have definitely more in here. I mean, we can go for 12 hours with all the good questions we got.
Yeah, I will take it.
Mertz was set up. Great name. Does the team play it safe week one? Lean into the run game, maybe keep some actions players under the hood.
So it's like, do they keep some actions under the hood? Yes. I mean, I think every team in the country tries to do that, unless you're playing in the Farmageddon game like we saw, or Texas Ohio State, like those massive, hey, this could have playoff conference type things. But play it safe, I disagree with. And somebody just said it. I think it was Coach Fickle Monday, but it was Fickle or one of the players today said, like, hey, this team has, kind of no place to stand on, like, we can play it safe type of thing. I thought, wow, that was honest, humble, self-reflective. I thought that was really spot on, and I would agree. I mean, these aren't, some random 2-10 team coming in. Like, it's a sizable spread, but it's not 40 points, Ryan. This is a good football program. Chuck Martin, I believe, is the coach. He's been there for a long time. They got a great quarterback, really good quarterback that has shown flashes of greatness at times. That obviously, the Badgers looked into a little bit before the 2024 season. And they lost a lot of guys, but the defensive front's usually solid. So I would say you can't play it too safe, or you're going to be in a 7 to 10 point game in the fourth quarter, and nobody's looking for that in week one.
Yeah, 100% agree. I didn't actually hear that from Coach Fick, but 100% agree. This is a team that won 5 games last year. I'll also point out, listen, Bama's not going to be surprised by anything Jeff Grimes does. There's years of film on what he wants to do. That doesn't mean there's not a wrinkle you can put in for the Bama game to exploit some specific matchup that you like. But the film is out there. Bama's their coaching staff is incredibly sharp. They're going to have thousands of hours to break down of Jeff Grimes. It's not like we're going to have some play where we roll it out against Bama and Bama's going to be like, what?
So here's how I see that stuff. Ryan, we really could talk for 2 hours, dude. It's a blast. Here's how I look at that stuff. Could there be a game-changing momentum momentum? That's awesome, man. Changing type of play that changes some things, sure. But like, are they gonna flip their whole scheme in 2 weeks? No. And again, what I do like about Fickle and how this offseason has been handled, I don't think they're disrespecting anybody. They're not overlooking. I can tell you the guys we just spoke with aren't overlooking these dudes. This is a good program.
Yeah, and I'll also point out, what do you think matters more right now to this program with where they're at? If they were to go out and just have a dominant week one, really play great, not play safe, but play great, make a statement, build confidence, build momentum, get the second string players in there so they get reps, or you play it safe and you win like 30-13 or 30-20. I mean, like something like that. This team needs a feel good win. They need some proof of concept, and I think that's.
I love that term. I really do. I think they need. Does it have to be 30 points? No, but I think where I'm at, Ryan, is it has to be the potential to have been up 30, right? I love the idea of like a 31-3 type game going into 10 minutes left, okay? And then maybe you get some younger guys in and they shrink it to 21 or something. I think most would be fine by that. I mean, people will be watching this game. Frankly, I need to see a little bit more from Badger Nation and buying these tickets up this week, because I'm a little bit surprised that there are still some for sale. Like, this is a pretty cool thing. Season opener, going to be a great light show, which I know we've talked about. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I know it's getting late and I've still got stories to write, but I'm seeing like the numbers jumping up and more people are coming on. I would take 2 more if you would, but if you got a dip, I'll do it.
No, I'm good, man. We got 520 in here, which is about the number of letters I wrote Jerry Rice as a kid asking for an autograph. I did finally get one back. He did eventually write back, which is incredible. Yeah, we definitely got more questions and comments here. Let's go to Greg B from the Discord. Wisconsin has struggled against dual threat quarterbacks. Finn coming in week 1, but there's also other guys that are going to threaten the edges this year at the quarterback spot. How will this season be any different?
Yeah, it's going to be because I think there are different body types and just more guys that can be relied upon, if that makes sense. You named a couple outside linebackers. Now, I'm not saying the interior guys are going to be chasing sideline to sideline, but I have seen Brandon Lane move. I've seen Corey Walker move. I've talked about what Riger's done. So I would say, Greg, the scheme is going to be a little bit more conducive to stopping things like that. But more than anything, the bodies and body types, like the athleticism, the speed, Riger, DP, Cheeks, going to be better because it has to be. And I don't mean to take it out there, but like, they know last year was just not acceptable.
I think the depth is a big part here that doesn't get talked about enough as well. So it's not just the individual body types that can move, I think, a little bit better, to your point. It's the fact that you can play 8 deep in some of these spots, which means in the fourth quarter, you're not gassed. Like, what's the hardest thing for a 250-pound guy to do in the fourth quarter? It's to chase it to Confin, a Cam Ward, a Dylan Gabriel on the edge.
Chase and then reset and then have to do it again. Yeah.
100%. And if you can rotate that this year, you're going to be fresher. And if you're fresher, you can take care of business a little easier. So I don't think it's perfect. I think this team has a little ways to go. But you imagine a Nicholas Clayton out there on a third down. A quarterback's not going to get to the edge against Clayton. So no. I think it's depth, and it's some athletes there as well. We got another one here if you got time for another one. Let's see. Family Man Ty. If the Badgers go 9-3, what is the most likely path to that record? Does that put us in the playoffs?
Wow. Maybe we wrap with this, Ty. That's a damn good question. So I got to be practical here. The most likely path, I don't think would put you in the playoff discussion, right? Because most likely, I don't think you're beating Alabama on the road or Oregon on the road, right? I could see Ohio State, which would be a hell of a win. But you're still losing 3 games. Now, maybe just 2 in conference, but still, the most likely, I would say, we talked about the first 3. Then there's the gauntlet of October. I think you're probably going most likely still maybe 3-1 there. Like, maybe you're getting that marquee win over Ohio State, winning a game you're likely favored, slight favorite potentially against Iowa, at least at that point, and then Michigan. I'm not as high, Ryan, on Oregon as some, but I just know that is a tough, tough trip. And I know they're very talented. They got some good young speed. And then it's probably beating, 3 games I do have them winning, frankly. I got the same losses as our guy, Matt. But Matt shows a lot of love, by the way. I appreciate you. I do think Indiana's a loss. So then Washington, Illinois, Minnesota. I get why people are saying Minnesota game's so important, of course. I respect the Axe, but I think for where the program is right now and kind of some of this Midwest recruiting stuff, I think Iowa and Illinois are the 2 most important games of the year.
I'll just say I think 9-3. So it's all context dependent, right? Like, you can go back to your buddies and say, man, you with a black guy and say, man, I lost a fight, and well, if you got beaten up by 3 guys, you got jumped and you held your own. That's a hell of a lot different than, the librarian knocked you out, for example. Like, context matters is my point. I don't know where that analogy came from. Just my point is, you lose 3 games, right?
Ryan had a tough sophomore year at high school.
I had a tough time in the library. There were some rough moments for young Herrings. Like, if you have 9-3, let's game this out, and you lose 31-20 on the road against Bama. Then maybe you beat in Ohio State, you lose a tough road game to Oregon, and you drop them to Indiana. Dude, I think you're probably in the playoffs at 9-3.
Yeah, so you're
but context matters. Like, if you get boat raced by Bama, it's different.
Well, also I think it's conversation about how Oregon goes score-wise. And also, if you get that Ohio State win, dude, I mean, we'll see how they really, really are, right, and look this weekend. But if you get that win, you're certainly in the conversation. I'm so much about context of who else is out there too, if that makes sense. It'll depend on just what they do and really how good is the bubble. We'll take a hoops term. But no, man, it's a fun conversation. I think this team is going to surprise some people. I've continued to peg 2026 as the year that they kind of are a national power again. But I think this year they start to make some waves.
And listen, just for the record, we weren't predicting 9-3. We're responding to a question.
Somebody asked us that one.
Yeah, which I think is a good question. I think those are fun questions and discussions to have. And I am not 6 or 7 IPAs in that.
Just 4, Hans. Just 4.
A couple big ones. I don't know what that equates to. All right, we're gonna wrap it there. Again, always good, man, when we can chop it up with the great Nick Osen 247. Go check out his work. I mean, I'm on that board. A lot of other people are. It's great. And the more collaborations we can do like this, the better I think both sides of the community are, because that's what it's all about. Also, when you're done here, bit of a quick announcement. Locked On college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV has a college football kickoff, ultimate college football weekly preview. So Drake Toll, which leads Locked On Big 12, but also Gary Patterson, former TCU coach, former college star Jesse Holley, Locked On locals experts. It's going to be a great show that Locked On is putting on, where they're going to pull the local experts, but also bring us up there with Gary Patterson and Drake Toll. We're almost there, buddy. Couple days. I can't wait to see you on Wisconsin. Any last words, Nick, as we come out of there?
No, this was awesome. I appreciate the love for the site. Again, I won't take a day off for nothing. So I promise you it's worth it. A lot of talented people, in this state. Just would love a shot, folks. And love hanging with this guy. I mean, Rajiv, Justin, my guys for life. So appreciate you guys. Thank you, Ryan. And thanks for, amazing numbers tuning in.
Yeah, and they're still there. So appreciate every single person in this on Wisconsin, and we will definitely talk to you tomorrow.